She's been locked up, knocked up, and hurt before. She's been cheated, treated like dirt before. A showgirl without shit to show for. But 16 years old with a pinch to grow on. 'Cause Papa was a rolling stone and Mama stayed stoned. Pimped by a nigga that stayed in the same home. I'm gonna take you on a ride, so strap up and hold on. I got somebody I want y'all to meet. She was 16, so young, so sweet, so innocent, naive, so pretty, so tender. It wasn't her fault. Any one of us could have been her, 'cause she was just a toddler when he crawled in the bed with her. They had no breadwinner, so on many nights they ate bread for dinner. And Mama was never with her 'cause she was too busy running after some nigga. Nobody saw the bigger picture. Nobody cared that she would grow up to be bitter. And she would face the same dilemma, sing the same blues, date the same dudes. As was the case when her face faced the bottom of his shoes. Sexually, physically, mentally abused. My heart broken in two when I heard the news. All she could remember when she woke up, he was already in her, having his way with her, making threats while he hit her. I could tell by the look on her face. I wish I could have took her place, and she could have been me. With easy bake ovens, light brights and Barbies, new bikes, fake makeup, play dress up, play Ataris. Stay up late, pop popcorn, watch movies and tell stories. Live life without a care or a worry in the world. But she was not that little girl. She was more like somebody's little bitch. And toys like Rubik's Cubes and Etch-a-Sketch didn't exist. And she doesn't smile about her first kiss. It was with a nasty old man who was perverted and sick, only concerned with his dick. It didn't matter that she was just 6. Yet she grew up, and now she's Miss 16. Miss 16, so young, so sweet. What would make you go and sell your soul to these streets? What do you know about pimps, hoes, and packing heat? Who exposed you to sex, popping pills, and smoking weed? But you're living in the belly of a beast, swallowed whole by little devils creeping on these streets. Niggas that won't pick you up when they see you fall to pieces. Sometimes you call me and I just tell you to call on Jesus, 'cause we all reach a point where our hope gets lost in reason and our faith gets lost each time we fall to our knees. I've seen you crawl into a corner and ball up like a fetus with a stone cold face and a heart that was bleeding. If I were a mind reader, yours would be worth reading. If I could rub a corpse back to life, yours would be worth needing. If ever a soul were starving, yours would be worth feeding. If ever a mind polluted, yours would be worth cleaning. If my purpose was to love unconditionally, you was well worth meeting. Because there's nothing you could do to stop me from believing in you. Even when the sky is gray and the day is blue. Even when you talk like you don't have a clue. Even when you run through dudes because you think the shit is cute. Even when I ask you what's wrong and you clam up like a mute. Even when you lie and I already know the truth. Even when you run around here loose as a goose. 'Cause the only love you ever knew was neglect and abuse. But it didn't matter what it was, 'cause it was still love to you. Didn't matter what he did, 'cause he was still kissing and hugging you. Calling you bitch, hoe, and slut, but still rubbing and touching you. And the way you grew up, this is what loved ones do. You were such a beautiful fruit, rare and exotic, and people sat there and watched as you rotted. STDs, ecstasy, Hennessy, smoking chronic, turning tricks, doing lines, doing chicks, and trying to flaunt it. But to be honest, this wasn't the girl I once knew. What kind of people got a hold of you? Like I didn't even know you transformed, but it's always more than meets the eye. And at any time you can spread your wings and fly and soar. You're worth so much more, yet you sell yourself so short, back and forth to court, in and out of homes. Miss 16, a young child desperate to be grown. So much I didn't comment on or condone. Sometimes I would defend you even when I knew you was wrong. Like the day you jumped out the car and ran away from home. I was so worried about you being out there alone, but But you were strong-minded and strong-willed, with a heart made of gold and a mind made of steel, and the streets was a magnet. I told you this time was the last time, but I knew I couldn't back it. I spent the night on the town looking for you in your baby blue bubble jacket, but you wanted to be free so bad that you slept on the street under a light because it was cold and it was the only source of heat. Matted hair, dirty clothes, runny nose, and your breath reeked. And I remember you cried and begged me to move you to Georgia, but I knew I couldn't do nothing for you. I couldn't afford the lawyers and I couldn't afford to spoil you. Plus, you just had your daughter. I couldn't afford to go back and forth with your father. But I miss you, and I knew you missed me. Cause you would call all the time, but I was just too busy on the road in the air writing poems, doing hair, different niggas here and there, but I thought about you constantly. I swear I still cared. Sometimes I didn't answer the phone cause I was scared of what I'd hear. Sometimes it was hard to face myself in the mirror. Too much hurt, too much pain, too many questions, too many tears. But you were still so dear to me, and I wish you were standing here with me. Stuff that had you in the dark was so clear to me, but you turned a deaf ear to me. I told you to set goals. You would turn up your nose because all you ever knew was rusty nails and loose bolts. Loose screws, loose ends, ran with rough necks and a group of loose friends. Young on the run with no supervision. Selling dope out the same spot she lived in. Same spot, but ain't got a pot to piss in. But she was on a mission, wanted rocks and jewels to slide her wrist in. But none of that mattered when she came up missing. It was a difficult decision, but told the cops to lock her up in a juvenile detention. Cause if not, she'll be right back in the same position. Or worse, we'll be driving her off in a hearse. It hurts, but would hurt worse to see her 6 feet under the dirt. It's bad enough that her first child hasn't seen her since birth. Miss 16, Miss Bling Bling, Miss So Fresh So Clean, Miss Glittering Gleam, and angel with split wings chasing big dreams. Who would ever figure that she'll become a fiend or an addict, turning flips for tricks like she was a master acrobatic? If she wants it, she's gotta have it. She's a savage with bad habits, and it up in the simple mathematics. She grew up with bad parents, bad models, mom on dope and dad heavy on the bottle. So, it wasn't like she had any footsteps to follow in, a slave to sin, a stick stuck in the mud that will not budge or bend, but worth fighting for. You're worth the tug of war. You're worth cursing out pimps and whores, cause I'm hoping one day you'll remove the blinders and realize your dream of becoming a clothes designer. Flying to New York, Europe, or China, and your past will only be a reminder of your strength and courage, your potential and purpose. And if you're shaking and nervous, it won't be because you took a hit, but because the world realized that you're the best that exists. And my next poem will begin like this. She's been locked up, knocked up, and hurt before. She's been cheated, treated like dirt before. A showgirl without shit to show for. But 16 years old with a pinch to grow on. Cause Papa was a rolling stone and Mama stayed stone. Pimped by a nigga that stayed in the same home, but she had enough faith to pick up and move on. You can't find her in the streets, cause Miss 16 is a queen and she's somewhere sitting on a throne.